it just seemed like he had so much going on, and it was just beautiful that I was like, why don't you just try this out, you know? Into it, and I did not like it and did not want to go back.
Do you recall where the house was?
Yeah, it's like right off the highway in Frederick.
Okay. You know the streets?
I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out again if I like really had to. Like off the top of my head, no.
Do you know the street name?
No. I would have to like drive around in there to get there.
Okay.
On multiple occasions.
It just seemed like it just seemed like he had so much going on, and it was just beautiful that I was like, why don't you just try this out, you know? I did not like it and did not want to go back.
Okay, let's try this again. Whoa, how did it get to that?
It just seemed like he had so much going on, and it was just beautiful that I was like, why don't you just try this out, you know? I did not like it and did not want to go back.
Do you recall where the house was?
Yeah, it's like right off the highway in Frederick.
Okay. You know the streets?
I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out again if I like really had to. Like off the top of my head, no.
Do you know the street name?
No. I would have to like drive around in there to get there.
Okay.
Oh my God, what the frick? Ugh. All right, you know what? Forget the introduction. And only with the Watts case does this craziness always happen in the beginning of my videos. So welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here. And the reason this is starting late, it's a late night Friday night date, is not because of technical difficulties, but because I was just feeling a little bit beat down, under the weather. I don't know what. And I decided at like 7 o'clock my time I was going to need to take a nap, and I set my a nappy and I set my alarm for 8:15, and I slept through it for like almost 2 hours. So I'm so sorry about that. And Ara, if you're still here, oh no, was it Sis Fish who I don't even know who contacted me because I was like, oh my God, it was Sis. Thank you so much for contacting me. Wasn't sure if I was texting you or Ara. Oh, but welcome. I'm so glad you're here at any rate. So yes, they are good. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for understanding. And thank you, Muck Boy. Um, so what we are going to do tonight. Oh, good. Oh, awesome. That's great. Yeah, definitely email me on the case with Jeannie. I was really interested in what you were saying about that. So yeah, I did upload some Idaho content recently, and I still am working on the Hiding in Plain Sight Part 2 because it just got a little deeper than I thought it was going to. Now, the reason I haven't been uploading a ton of Idaho content recently is because there is truly, as we know, unfortunately, nothing substantial going on with the case. I think that sometimes when they file these motions and these responses, or the judge makes a ruling more so even, well, not necessarily. I think there's a lot of information within the motions and responses, but I certainly don't want to manufacture content. And, when there is something significant to say through research or natural happenings, I definitely am going to make a video about it and want to talk to you guys about it and see what you guys think about it. But, I don't want to, I think there's a lot of channels out there really forcing content on it. And yes, I know I was reading Reddit today. Somebody sent me a link to some Reddit posts that were related to this channel. So I know that some people think that about me relating to the Watts case, but I do not. So I will just say this, that I don't even know what to say if you don't know by now. If you're somebody who's been watching this channel for a while, that I absolutely positively believe that there are issues of incomplete justice in this case, because I know that many of you do too, and some of you don't, and that's okay. It's totally okay to disagree. Just please do so respectfully, towards one another, towards the victims, and towards their families. That's all I ask. So welcome. I would like to say hi to all of you guys, but I do want to get going too because it started really late. So thank you guys so much for being here. Here. We're here, not there, right? And especially thank you, moderators. You guys are amazing. I really very much appreciate you. One other quick little announcement kind of thing. I planned to have a members only live stream last night, but my schedule is just too I couldn't get there. I couldn't possibly fit it in. So I'd initially planned recently to do them every Thursday night, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. Doing this every Friday night, I really like to do, but I think the members only live streams are going to have to be like as I schedule them, and I can fit them, into my like already existing work schedule and life schedule and helping out my family schedule, all those things we have to do in life. So be looking out for those. I'm probably going to schedule a members only for this weekend. I know there have been some gifted memberships recently, and there's a lot of new members. So welcome everybody, and I'm really looking forward to doing that for you. As they are scheduled. Yeah. So be looking for those notifications. So, um, oh, good, awesome, Keshik, good. Okay, so, oh, and hey, thanks. Yeah, we reached 45,000 subscribers, on our way to 46. And thank you guys so much for your support and for watching the channel and being here in chat and participating and your comments on videos. I still read every single one of them. I don't necessarily respond to every single one of them anymore because that would just be nearly impossible to do. But I do read them. And yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciate it. And Keschik has been a member for 5 months. Awesome. Thank you, Keschik. You're great. Okay, so tonight what we're going to do is now I have to thank you guys again because I wouldn't have even known about this channel if it weren't for you. And oh my God, he's pretty great. So we're going to watch one of the videos from Deceptive. Now, I normally don't take someone's entire video and then watch it on this channel. I know sometimes people do that. And honestly, when people do that with my videos, sometimes I don't care. Sometimes I don't really like it because it takes hours upon 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 hours to create like a well put together quality video with the editing. Even the little video that I put together last night for the Idaho case, which was a total of probably about 20 minutes, with the edits of watch us together, watching some of the pre-trial hearing. So that leaves 15 minutes that wasn't, somebody else talking. I did put that together just yesterday, but it took me 6 hours just to give you an idea, and that was really like a low maintenance video. But anyway, when I was watching his video, I did notice that at the end, he said that he welcomed people doing videos reacting to his content. So I was like, that is so great, because what the deception detective does is he is an attorney who is trained in statement analysis. And I certainly believe that to be the case, because after watching his videos, I think the level of the work that he's doing and the accuracy with which he is doing it and the correctness with which he is doing it speaks for itself. So I don't feel like I need to vet those credentials, because it's just evident, in my opinion. And I think this is a really cool thing to do on this channel, because I believe it is very much a compliment to well, I'm trained in some statement analysis, not to the level this guy is. He is seriously amazing. But I'm trained in particular, you know, looking for, observing, understanding nonverbal indicators of all kinds of things, as I'm a behavioral therapist. Hi, Real Justice. I know that you love when I say that on my channel so many times, but I think it's definitely relevant to the content I put out. So I guess I would say in that arena, in, analyzing if people are being truthful or deceptive, my specialty would be more of analyzing nonverbal communication, and he's all statement analysis. So even though I just woke up from a long nappy, I hope to be able to still talk to the nonverbal communication aspect of what is going on in the Nicole Kessinger videos, as he talks about his assessment of the statement analysis. And again, I just want to say that I think he is really spot on with his statement analysis. Again, he is far more an expert than I am, but there was not one single thing that he deduced that I did not agree with. And that doesn't ever happen when I watch channels that present material of that nature. So I was really super impressed with that channel. Thank you guys for, sending me there, for those of you who did. And for those of you who did not, please definitely check out and subscribe to the channel called Deception Detective. Excellent material. He analyzes a number of different statements in true crime and across other arenas. And, again, it is pretty amazing and super spot on. So he has put out 2 videos about relating to the Nicole Kessinger interview with Kevin Kovac that happened on August 16th, 2018. That's the one where they're sitting at the table with Daddy there, of course. Daddy's there. We all know that. Daddy at the round table, chiming in whenever he wants and ordering around Kevin Kovac. So have you guys seen either of those videos, number one? Because I really could play both video 1 or video 2 that he did. Now, with the Nicole Kessinger content, I watched video 2 twice in its entirety, and I did not watch video 1 yet. I planned to watch it when I took my nappy, and that's when I fell asleep. Not because the content was boring, just because I really needed to sleep so badly. Because I watched a number of his different videos that did statement analysis with different people that I wasn't as familiar with, because I wanted to see what it was like to watch those videos with something I wasn't as familiar with, and, see what I thought of his content. So you've seen both, MB Gal says. You think he's awesome, MB Gal? I saw both. Sarcasm for Fun says, what do you guys think of his work? Yeah, the deception deck is really cool too. Yeah. Yeah, if anyone can grab his awesome. Hey, Sis Fishes, thank you so much. You're ahead of the game. Thank you, sweetheart. I really appreciate that. So do you have any idea if you'd like to watch the first or the second video? Stephanie really likes Deception Detective. Yeah. So Lulu Loveberry says Deception Detective is terrible. He thinks the NK is not involved. Listen, I didn't get that perception from him. Well, from watching the second video, I think, he said that, there's a number of things times where he says, I believe her. I think she's telling the truth. It's a common thing that people do, is to tell the truth, but to omit the context, to lie by omission, which is what the vast majority of normal people within the normal range of truthfulness do. That, that when we say things like, there's a little bit of truth in the lies, that's what that means. That a person is lying usually by omission, that there is some truth there, but the lie is in them really not telling the whole story or skewing things. So the story sounds different to benefit them. But I don't, in the one video that I did watch, and one of two I only watched again, I didn't gather that he didn't think that he thought she was innocent. I think it sounded to me like he wasn't really ready to make a determination, but there may have been something different in the first video, or maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Okay, so let's do the first video. All right, so let me just bring that up. And again, thank you, Deception Detective, for the great content you put out. I start. Sorry, that was when I go to his like homepage. That's the video that he has pinned that just starts playing. So that was what that was. All right, let me just get it up here and we'll just start going through it, okay? Oh, and he also says that he will do another video on NK if he gets to 50,000 views on that video, because he wants to bring his viewers content that they want. And as I'm looking through his videos, most of them don't quite get to 50,000, but well, no, some do. But definitely, no, some do. Some do. Yeah, many do, I should say. I'm sorry. But definitely go and, give it a watch because I personally want him to do another video. I think, I just told you, I think it was great. All right. So welcome everybody who's just coming in. Welcome people that are watching the replay. I'm so glad that all of you guys are here. And without further ado, that's what we say. Let me just get this up and we'll get started. Okay, so this video that we're going to be watching now is how to interrogate a suspect. And I think that the tips that he does give in, contrast to the way that Nicole Kessinger is interviewed, in this interview at least, sound pretty solid to me.
That's it. I mean, I don't have social media. I don't really have anything else you guys can pull.
Okay. Is there anything else you know of that could help us?
So this is an interesting statement here. He said, "Is that it?" And she says, "I don't have social media. I don't have anything else you can pull." Could she pass a polygraph? Yes. Like I said, 99% of the time, people will not bold-faced lie to you. They will not lie by commission.
Okay, so I think that's an interesting point that he makes there right off the bat. He says, could she pass a polygraph test? And he says, yes. 99% of the time, people will not lie to you. They will not lie by commission. 99% of people, he says, I haven't looked into the statistic myself, but I'm sure that he's well versed in these statistics. 99% of people are going to generally lie to you by omission, which means you are in your mind telling the truth. You're just changing it or omitting something usually substantial that makes what you would otherwise be saying in comparison to what you are saying work in your favor. So he says that would likely allow her to pass a lie detector test. Yikes.
They will tell you the truth, but they will omit critical details. So, for example, when she says, "I do not have social media," I believe her. But did she have social media 2 days ago? Did she have a Facebook account 2 days ago before she deleted everything with Chris? Did she have a LinkedIn account or a Telegram account? Or does she not consider Telegram social media? Maybe she doesn't consider those things social media, so she doesn't bring them up. So someone saying, "I do not have social media," does not mean that they didn't have it back at the time when they were communicating with someone who killed his family. What are some tricks that liars use to mislead? I'm Deception Detective. I'm an attorney trained in statement analysis, and this channel exists to expose lies and manipulation. Before we proceed, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell. In today's video, we're going to analyze part of Nicole Kessinger's interview with the police. If you don't know who Nicole Kessinger is, she was the mistress of Chris Watts, a man who murdered his wife and children and buried them And there's been a lingering question about what Nicole knew. Did she know of his plans? Did she help him plan the murders? Did she even participate in the murders? At the end of this video, I'll get into my opinion on all that, how to deduce the motivations of a liar, right? People don't always lie just because they're guilty. But first, we're going to look at techniques she uses to mislead and to hide information. Without further ado, let's listen.
Or may
Okay, so I just want to point out something right off the bat right here. Just in, that little clip that we were watching of her speaking that he just spoke about, Teacup points out something that's absolutely accurate. It says NK's arms are cross insecure here. So arms crossed, I mean, it can be a result of insecure, but what, on its face, it's going to mean. So, okay, let me just say when you're looking at nonverbal communication signs and nonverbal indications of deception or truthfulness, you want to analyze the nonverbal communications, which can be facial expressions, it can be body language, it can be the way in which where somebody is looking when they're talking to you. It can be, I know something that many people are aware of is, when you look up and to the left in a certain way or up and to the right in a certain way or down or where your gaze is, that can indicate something. And I want to tell you guys something that about the eye movement is something that is tried and true, that is data backed evidence that it does mean something when people look in a certain direction. The eye movement does mean something. We'll go into that in a little while. Unfortunately, we can't see her eye movement very much here, but on a couple occasions we can. I'll try to point that out. But anyway, when you are analyzing nonverbal communication, there are there are some things that we know across all human beings, even in some cases, human beings in different cultures, but I am going to just focus on the interpretation of nonverbal communications of persons in art, like I'm going to say like the Western world culture, okay? Because that, there are different levels and different distinctions, but you want to analyze it in a way where you are analyzing the most blatant, again, evidence-based, established, and known meaning of that, body gesture, that particular nonverbal communication. So anyway, here, when Teacup says it means she's insecure, insecurity can be one of the feelings a person would have that's behind this, but arms crossed in front of you is always protective. It is a stance of defiance and protection. It usually means that you feel like whatever is coming at you is attacking you on some level and you want to protect yourself from it, or you want to protect yourself against the questioner. Does that make sense? I think it does. I hope it does. Okay, I'll keep going.
tend to prove that things that Chris told us were a lie. You understand that? And that's maybe going to.
So at this point in the interview, the interviewing officer is asking for her permission to go through her cell phone. So at this point, she's not under arrest. They don't have a warrant to search her phone. They're asking her to continue cooperating and give them access to her phone records to see any texts or any communications she had with Chris.
Okay, now, and I'm not going to stop like every couple minutes here and talk about the body language. When there's big things happening from now forth, I'll stop them and point them out. Or if I see that you guys point out something that's awesome, I'll stop and point that out. But here, I'm just going to say here, since we're just getting started, to give you some examples, we see a couple things here. We see that, her arms are kind of in front of her. She just released them from the totally cross position. They're kind of in front of her. They're kind of quasi cross, as we would see. Her shoulders are kind of caving in a little bit, which in part is causing her to lean forward. But let me just talk about what we know from what we see so far. So she's still in a bit of a protective stance. She's still a little bit shrunken down. She's intimidated by what's coming at her. She doesn't like the questioning. She's still feeling a little protective, but the fact that she's leaning in a little bit there, even though the part of it is because her shoulders are a little bit hunched forward, does also indicate like a willingness to receive the questioning. Okay. A hesitant willingness to receive the questioning based on the context of the other nonverbal indicators that I just mentioned. And again, I hope that makes sense. If like I'm talking in a way that you guys just don't understand, just let me know. But and if you do get it, let me know too, so I know how to proceed.
going a little bit far. I usually won't tell people that, but because of your reservations, that's what I'm looking for. If I can disprove something he's told me by a phone records don't lie. People do. Okay. So if I can disprove something that may be important, that's what I need it for. I'm not saying I can. Has it happened before? Absolutely. Is it critical in cases that I've worked in the past? Yes. So that's why I want it. Okay. Again, you don't have to give it to me. You can tell me I don't want you to have it. Go get a warrant. I'm not even going to tell you if I go get a warrant, try to get a warrant right now. I'm just asking for you to consent. And again, we can write right here what you're willing to give me, which is
I'm just going to keep moving forward. I don't even freaking know why that keeps happening. It only happens with the Watts case. I swear to God. And I just don't even know. All right. We're just going to keep moving forward.
and the phone log. And unfortunately, again, the attachments on some of those text messages, and I'll write it on there and then you'll just sign it. Okay. Do you understand the questions there? Do you have questions about any of the things that it says? You understand you don't have to do this. You're doing it of your own free will. And I know you're tired, so if you want to let your dad read it too,
He will. Thank you.
that's a good idea.
Can you fill it out before I sign it?
Yep. And just you read it, and if you have any questions, then we'll put on there what we're after.
I'm so hungry.
You should have told me. I would have got you some food. I got food in my car.
It's not staying down. It's just coming.
She hadn't been
up.
feeling good, not because of any, just
Like I got sick prior to
Jim.
this whole thing happening, and then I think all of this compounding.
Stress.
So right when it comes time to ask about the phone records and her signing of her permission to go through them, now we hear that she's sick and she's tired and she's hungry. Maybe all that is true, but the timing seems to suggest this might be a little bit of a manipulation tactic, right? To delay signing the papers, to make people feel bad for her, maybe the officer to go easier on her here. Either way, we should note it. This didn't pop up before. It's popping up right before we get into the phone records. So we're 30 minutes into her interview with the police, and now we're starting to get complaints when it's time to sign a paper.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've always thought that, and she does this time and time again, that, you know, when she's doing that, she's kind of trying to prep the outcome, if you know what I mean. Like he just said, like he's trying to make maybe law enforcement feel bad for her. I think she has an understanding that she has people, in particular men, kind of, you know, in her mind wrapped around her little finger when she wants that to happen. I think that she is definitely a skilled manipulator. All she does is manipulate throughout everything, honestly, that we can see her doing. There really is not an earnest moment in anything that we see her say in these interviews. And, you know, I absolutely positively agree with that. And I just want to read a couple comments. So Anaphylaxis, who is a retired law enforcement agent, thank you, Anaphylaxis, you're the best, says this part of what they did is stupid. They should have written a search warrant right away for her devices. Amen, sister. I mean, you know, I wouldn't know that as a law enforcement agent, but it certainly seems like that. And they could have avoided all of this rigmarole and run around and time spent that she gave them and that she used in order to stall even further this whole process. Like, god damn, you know, like what is up with that? And then there's another comment I starred, if I can find it. Oh, go to your starred comments, Cal. Oh, hey, Ara, thank you so much for gifting the memberships. I really appreciate that. I'm sure the people that got them do too. So 5 people, thanks to Ara, now have a membership. So definitely check that out. If you turned, what is it, green, you do. And then let's see, Alex says her demeanor is very odd given the circumstances. And Alex, that's exactly basically what he said about, you know, her words too, right after you posted that. So yeah, I definitely agree. That certainly is in fact the case, isn't it?
Let's note it. Let's understand that it may indicate sensitivity about the phone records. But also, if I asked you to give me your phone, you'd probably be sensitive about it as well, right? Even if you didn't have anything incriminating. So I can't look too deep into it, but I am pausing to point it out just so you know that I also notice it.
The fact that
Okay, no, I just want to say one other additional thing about the deception detective. I want you to know, some people in the very beginning were saying, oh, that he thinks that she has nothing to do with it. And I don't know if that's the case still. He says something in summary of his impressions of her in total at the end. So we'll see what that is. Because again, I've only watched the second video, which was amazing. And everybody go check out Deception Detective. But he tells us, I know in the second video, that he does not really know much about the case. Except for the very basics and what he sees here. So he doesn't necessarily know all of the things that we know about how the evidence was handled and the documents that we see in discovery and all of that. So when he's making his assessments outside of her statements through statement analysis, he doesn't know much more about the case. So do keep that in mind.
I'm sick, it's just not good. I've not really been eating or sleeping much at all.
Okay. So there, I'm sorry.
Before we proceed, please hit the before we proceed, please hit the like, subscribe.
Okay, sorry. Oh yeah, and please do hit like and subscribe here on this channel too, and also go check him out. So what we see her doing right there, let me see if I can just go back a couple seconds, is important, especially with what he just said about what she is saying. Let's see.
This to expose lies and manipulation.
Ah, darn it.
Been a lingering question about what Nicole knew. Did she know of it? The interviewing officer is asking for her.
Sorry. I wanted to see something specific here that she just did. Okay, it was after she did this little. Okay, here we go.
Not good. I've not really been eating or sleeping much at all.
Once again, I just have no clue. Watts case. Moving on. So sorry. All right, share. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So see how okay, so after where she was, crossing her arms, and then she was still in a quasi-protective place, and he was saying that she's making these complaints about her health and all this at this time where she's probably trying to garner some sympathy. She also reaches across her body, which is still a protective thing. It's like a half arm cross, right? And now she's like rubbing herself. So it's in her arm. So Sis Vicious earlier said self-soothing. Yes, it is in part soothing, but I think that is also the kind of think of if you're dealing with a little baby or a small child who isn't feeling oh, poor baby, and maybe you'll reach your hand out and you'll rub them. She's trying to invoke that same sentiment here towards herself, but in the eyes of the perceiver or the interviewer here. So this is more trying to garner sympathy.
I'm with you. We definitely need to accelerate the case because the more it takes, the less sure that they are of situations. But on the other end, I think if you do just that only,
You tell me what you're willing to provide to me, and we'll
is that
write it
good
on.
enough?
I just want our text conversation and then I guess our phone call records.
So I'm going to put.
So the time and date of the phone call records and then our text message.
Could we get photos of him?
Huh?
Could we get photos of him?
Off of
Would
that.
you mind if we got his photos that he sent to you?
Oh, well, there'll be in that text.
All right, so here it's interesting. She wants to limit the search to text messages and phone calls. And if you're familiar with this case, she deleted all of that. I think earlier that day or the day before, right? I'm just getting caught up on this case myself. Or at least Nicole Kessinger's involvement in the case. Right? I'm familiar with the Chris Watts case in general. So she's trying to restrict it to text messages and phone calls, right? She wants to write that on this consent form. Now, what does that imply? Maybe she communicated with him on other places and she's trying to dissuade them from looking at other places, like if they communicated through WhatsApp or some other secret texting app that people use when they're cheating on their wives.
A text message thing.
So all his photos were sent, there was no apps or anything else used
No,
that you
no,
guys
no,
were
no,
sending? It was
no.
all just text messages?
Yeah,
Okay, so it'd be an attachment to a text that he sent you?
pretty much.
But
Everything is in the text.
All right, so now we have Nicole saying pretty much.
Now, I just want to say, I think that's such a great point that I definitely did not catch. I mean, I have this opinion, but I didn't catch this particular thing that he pointed out, that where she says, you know, overtly, I just want to limit it to phone calls and text messages, because maybe she wants to try to, you know, she's trying to control everything here. She's trying to control the situation, to control the interview, to control what's happening, control the outcome. That she knows that they did communicate through other means. And we know that they did. First of all, we know that to be a fact because she admits that they use Skype. And Chris Watts says that Nicole Kessinger introduced him to the calculator app, which I believe to be true, because as far as his relationship with Shanann was concerned, you know, to the degree that he can be real, he was a pretty upfront and forward guy with Shanann, at least until Nicole Kessinger came along. He wasn't hiding anything about himself in that regard, like in terms of his relationship with her. So we know of two different kinds of communication that is not text or phone call that she either introduced into the situation or she says herself that they were using. So I do believe that that's probably true, that she's trying to limit their looking at anything other than phone calls and texts.
And it looks like the officer is also keying into what I keyed into, where because she's trying to limit it to text messages, right, SMS messages and phone calls, there might be some other app or avenue they were communicating, and he's trying to fish for that information. Were they communicating anywhere else? And he says if you sent any photos back and forth, it would be as a text message. And Nicole says pretty much. Pretty much is actually a sign of deception, and it's one of the cards in my deception deck. So if you haven't pre-ordered, you can order the deception deck at deceptiondeck.com. It's my 52 favorite rules for spotting lies and manipulation. And here we have weakening modifiers in the grammar suit. So the deck has 4 suits: deceptive words and phrases, deceptive grammar, deceptive cues, and different deceptive concepts.
Now, deceptive modifiers is actually something that I am familiar with the level of training that I have as a behavioral therapist, and she uses them all the time. Hopefully, now that he's giving us these great examples, because he's going to a level of detail I certainly could not provide you in this, we'll start to notice them.
All right, so pretty much is a weakening modifier. And what does that mean? I'll just read you what is on the card. Phrases like kind of, sort of, and seemed like, as well as pretty much, indicate uncertainty. Whether they are used correctly by someone being honest or misleadingly by someone who is lying, any statement following these phrases should not be automatically accepted as true or accurate. So when it comes to Nicole Kessinger here, the detective asks her, if there were any photos sent between you and Chris, would they be an attachment to a text message? She says pretty much. What does that mean? That she's
Oh my God. This is the worst. I just keep getting kicked out of StreamYard. What the heck? And then every time I do that, my computer automatically makes me do my two-factor authentication just because of the level of security I have on it, because I do some work on here. And come on. Ugh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
that those are the only ways they sent photos. So investigator here should dig deeper into that. If it were me, I would say, well, will you give us permission to at least examine any other apps with the capability of sending photos that might be on your phone or were on your phone, just to cover that, and then see if she squirms or not. All right, so pretty much that's one of the tricks liars use to mislead, weakening modifiers. Let's get at least 2 more in this video.
The text and the phone call records,
So,
like all of it.
because we don't have it on tape, we discussed prior to turning the tape on Tuesday, which would have been the 14th of August, you had read some newspaper articles on the 13th and the 14th that regarded this case. You had also had a conversation with Chris at some point during the day on Monday. And on Tuesday, because of what you found, specifically what you said was, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but you found out that his wife was pregnant.
So here the investigator appears to be making another mistake in my book, right? I don't know his whole strategy here, so I don't want to judge him too quickly. However, he is putting words into her mouth, and I always call that out as an interviewing technique mistake, because once you start putting words into someone's mouth, now you've tainted the interrogation. You've put words in their mouth, and I'm not getting access to the words they would have picked. So, for example, they had a conversation off the record, which is unfortunate, where they talked about why she deleted all the stuff off of her phone relating to Chris. So off the record, she said that she deleted all her information on her phone regarding Chris Watts because she found out from a news article that his wife was pregnant, and that somehow compelled her to not want to have any contact with him on her phone any longer.
And now we know that to not be true. And yes, all you people on Reddit who had something to say about that, we know that to not be true, that she did not find out that Shania was pregnant until Tuesday, August 14th, the day after the murders. This is a great point he's making here. Because how many times during this interview and during the interview at Dodge Correctional Facility with Chris Watts did the investigators literally finish their sentences, hello, Tammy Lee, Graham Coder, and Dave Baumhover in the case of Chris Watts, and or put words in their mouth. It was just insane.
Could that be true? Maybe. Could it be a lie? Maybe as well. But because it happened off the record and the officer is basically saying it for her, we're not going to see her own description of what happened. So I'm just pointing that out as an interviewing mistake to be aware of if you are ever interviewing someone, for example, for a job, or if you're an investigator or a psychologist or a 911 dispatcher. I know I have lots of professionals who deal with deception as subscribers to my channel. Always avoid speaking for them. And this investigator here even acknowledges that he's putting words into her mouth, right? So he knew he was making a mistake here.
Now that's something that, just in my job, I had to learn, over time to really omit from my communication with the students that I work with. And it happened today, but I started to say something that was completing someone's sentences because I thought I knew what they were going to say. And before it was just a one word thing. I remember it so clearly. Before I even got the word out of my mouth, I stopped myself because now I know to do that. But that's very true what he said. Now I just also want to point out this comment. Sarah Lottie asked Ara, did the the calculator app have a chat feature? Now, I just want to let you know, Sarah, that, and then Sarah also says that the comment's gone, but something like she can't believe that they didn't find it till 2019. I think she said, much closer to when this actually happened, I looked up, calculator apps and looked at all the ones that I could find. And I'm just going to tell you that some of them did have a communication feature and some did not. So did the one that he used have that or not? We just don't know.
And on Tuesday, because of what you found, specifically what you said was, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but you found out that his wife was pregnant.
Yes.
And you did not know that prior. And you found that out via the newspaper articles, and that caused you concern.
Right, so he basically drip feeded all the information she needed to explain why she deleted his stuff off her phone. He fed her alibi. Could it all be true and correct? Yes. but I'd prefer to see her say it herself.
Well, I just realized that he was lying to me, and I was like, well, if you can lie to me about this, what else are you lying to me about? And it made me realize that maybe his wife was in danger at that point, and it was day two, and she still wasn't home.
And this is why it's unfortunate that he drip fed her that justification for deleting the messages, because she is not a particularly good liar. For example, here she says, it made her realize. So
Wait, I'm sorry, but did you hear that? He said that is why they drip fed her, the things to say in regards to this argument, that she deleted her messages on Tuesday, because it wasn't until Tuesday that she found out that Shania was pregnant, which we know is not true, because she is not a particularly good liar. So I think that's really key. So what he's saying is Kevin Kovac understands that she's not a particularly good liar. So in order to facilitate her with her lies, he had to spoon feed her the lies with his own words. And like, damn, that is just like, wow. And I think he's spot on with that.
she deleted all the stuff because she realized he was lying to her. And then because she realized he was lying to her, she realized his wife might be in danger. So what does she do? She deletes everything off her phone. That doesn't make sense. If you thought your boyfriend could potentially be a killer and might have killed his wife or might have done something to her, would you delete all the evidence of that off your phone if you were innocent? I don't think so, right? But again, I have to take logical leaps here that I'm not comfortable with because she hasn't said any of this herself, right? He drip fed her that entire explanation, but now she seems to have contradicted it a little bit here when she actually has a chance to speak for herself. If she actually thought the wife was in danger, why delete all the evidence that could help bring this guy to justice? For all she knows, she could have been his next victim. If he was really that dangerous, she should probably want him locked up. He killed his wife. What's to stop him from now killing her? Maybe he's a serial killer, but she deletes everything. Also, I'm just going to rewind. Notice when she explains it, she says, well, I just realized that he was lying to me. Just is a minimizing adverb.
Yep.
That is the second technique liars use to mislead. So I'll bring it up here. It's also in the grammar section. Minimizing adverbs. Words such as just, only, simply, and merely often indicate an attempt at minimization. Liars frequently use these terms to downplay incriminating details in context. So when you see the word just, be aware that the person might be trying to downplay something that you should be looking further into. So when she says, well, I just realized he was lying to me, maybe that's not entirely true. Maybe she realized a lot more than what she's admitting here, or she realized it earlier than she's telling us. So we need to be attuned to the use of the word just.
What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what? When I deleted those? I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you.
All right, so I'm going to rewind. So listen to her justify herself here.
He was lying to me, and I was like, well, if you can lie to me about this, what else are you lying to me about? And it made me realize that maybe his wife was in danger at that point, and it was day two, and she still wasn't home.
What did that cause you to do?
All right, so she realized the wife was in danger, so she deletes everything. Any potential help she might have been to the police to helping this woman. Does this mean she's guilty? Does it mean she was involved? Does it mean she helped him plan the murders? No. Right? But it is a small inconsistency from what probably the average person might do in that situation.
To do with your phone, though?
Oh, what? When I deleted those? I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but you just lied to me, and I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it.
So you already said, but you removed text messages
I deleted all of his stuff because he lied to me. I mean, that's what it was. It was the hurt that made me delete it. And then it was the.
So notice how the officer asks her, so you deleted text messages, and she expands that to, I deleted all of his stuff. Stuff could be any other apps they were using to communicate.
This is a great point he's making here.
Right. So let's say they were talking to each other on WhatsApp or Signal or Telegram, right? One of these other communication apps that are encrypted that someone would probably be more likely to use if they were cheating, right? One that someone can get access to, and one that if this was a work phone, I know that they both worked at the oil company Anadarko. If their work provided them with the phones, it'd be much more likely they would use an end-to-end encrypted service to communicate. Even if it was just, raunchy sexting or planning a murder. So when the officer asks her, so you deleted all the text messages, she is being true when she says, well, I deleted all of his stuff. But stuff can mean text messages, emails, WhatsApp, right? I deleted WhatsApp off my phone. I nuked my Signal correspondences with him. But she puts it all into stuff. And maybe down the road, if they find out that she did have those apps on her phone, she can now say, hey, I told you I deleted everything. It's not my fault that you assumed I was only referring to text messages. Right? So this is another way liars lie, with vagueness. 99% of the time, if someone's trying to trick you, they will do it by omitting information, by leaving stuff out, not by telling a direct lie, right? So it'd be a lot harder for her to say, yes, I only deleted all of our text messages. Everything else is still on the phone. Right? That would be a lot more reliable of a statement. But if she had deleted other apps, it would be a lie by commission. She'd be telling us a straight up bold-faced lie. It's a lot easier to say, yeah, I deleted everything that I had to do with them, and then hope that the officer assumes that that only refers to text messages. Right. So if you're interrogating someone about whether or not they communicated with someone on their phone, and they say, well, I deleted everything. I deleted all our stuff. You should ask follow-up questions. Well, was texting the only way you communicated? Or were there other apps you used? And if so, did you delete those apps too and the conversations on those apps?
The lie that made me start questioning everything else he'd been telling me for the last few days.
And that's when you decided to come forward.
Yes.
Okay. So just for context,
Yes.
when people delete stuff off phones, usually we go,
No.
And then very obviously we had the arm fold in front of her in that protective stance when she said what she said, and he knew that he was gonna, expand on what she said. She's like, yeah, we're not doing this, Kobach.
and that's why I wanted
at all. It wasn't
saying
malicious at all. He lied to me. It just hurt. Like I had never felt like he'd ever lied to me before.
And then another point about this interviewer, when someone does delete evidence, my policy is I always assume the worst. Right. So anywhere I've worked, for example, at a personal injury firm, when we send out discovery requests or requests for information or interrogatories, right, let's say someone had a video camera on their property and they don't provide that, right? Or they don't send pictures if they have pictures of the crime scene, or they refuse to provide something that we're asking for when we're asking them to cooperate. Then the automatic response is, well, if you don't provide it, I'm sorry, I have to assume the worst. Otherwise, provide it to me. And then you'd be surprised how many people actually cough up stuff that they withheld. So when it comes to Nicole Kessinger, I maintain that same policy. She deleted everything off of her phone, so she just gave up her benefit of the doubt. I have to assume the worst, that she either encouraged him to do it or helped him plan it or was there. At least that's what I would tell her. Because if you do that, it's more likely that she might rack her brain and say, hey, you know what? Actually, we used this other app, which I can re-download onto my phone. It has our conversations. And it will show you we were just talking about moving in together. I wasn't helping him plan anything.
Okay, so here, let's see. Good point, Cecile, by the way. Really good point. And then Autumn Renee says commission, or did he mean omission? There is both commission and omission. So when you're talking about lies, there's lies of omission, which means you are not including part of the story or context, sometimes in a very big way. And there are lies of commission. So a lie of commission is going to be like, if someone tells you something that is not fact, it's a lie of commission. So it's like literally a lie. This type of lie is telling someone something that is simply not true at all. You're twisting the truth to create your own version of what happened that's just completely not grounded in the truth. So what he says is most people lie by omission, which is to not blatantly lie, not to make up the something out of the clear blue sky that is not grounded in truth, but rather to, kind of tell the truth, quote unquote, but to omit the context or to change the context in such a way where it significantly changes the material impact of what is being said. I hope that makes sense.
So I would actually hold that against her, whereas this interviewer seems to be writing it off. And that might just be part of his technique to make her feel at ease, to get her to
No.
sign the papers. So there's different techniques, different approaches people can use. I prefer an aggressive approach.
Before, and it was a big lie. I mean,
Right.
telling somebody that you're in the midst of a divorce and then you have a wife that has a 15-week-old baby on the way is a huge thing. And I was very taken back, and it was hurt. And so at that point I like deleted it. I had a few more quick things to say to him, and then I just got rid of him. That's literally what I did. I just cut him out of my life. It would have honestly been like a bad breakup kind of thing. Like if none of this other stuff would have happened, that's what.
All right, so here she says it would have been honestly like a bad breakup. Would have is a discrepancy verb. So this will be the third grammatical tool you can use to spot, when someone's trying to mislead you or lie to you. And I'll just read you what I have on the card for that one. Words such as would, should, and could indicate hypothetical situations rather than literal ones. Liars often use these terms to mislead without directly lying. So here, where Nicole says, it would have been like a bad breakup, she's not telling us that it was like a bad breakup. There's a big difference. What she did would have been like a breakup. She's not telling us it was a breakup. So we can't assume that this was her giving him the silent treatment, they're broken up and they're done. Maybe they did continue to communicate on some other tool, on some other app. We can't discount that because she hasn't said affirmatively, texts were the only way we communicated. You're welcome to look at all of them, and I have them all here for you. Instead, when the officer asked her, so I can find his photos on texts, she narrowed it down. And then when they discussed other avenues of how they communicated, she expanded it, right? I deleted all of his stuff. So it's still nebulous and unclear to me whether that is literally the only way they would have sent photos and communications. Then on top of that, you have her deleting everything, which to me is a sign that someone just gave up their right to the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, I just want to address this because a lot of people have been saying things or asking questions about whether or not they did recover the text from Nicole Kessinger's phone or from Chris Watt's phone. Here's just a little story. Long time ago when my friend Alex, who is still my friend, thank God, after what I put him through with this, I'd been trying, he's a really good defense attorney. He has his own non-for-profit. I went to law school with him. I did not finish law school. Silly me. I dropped out of law school. I don't know why. Now I wish I finished it, but I didn't, especially after my dad died. I'd love to be able to take over his law practice, but I can't. But that is in my past now. So, Anyway, he finally did start to get into this case as I was asking him to, because I don't know, this was probably like 2 years ago when, there were some people trying to, like, at that time, there was a movement to really get the case reopened to see if there could be representation for some issues that were lingering out there. And I thought he'd be the perfect person for it. He does pro bono work. He has a foundation. I just want to see what he thinks because he's freaking brilliant. Anyhow, once he finally did start reading the discovery and got into this case and the issues in this case, he got really into it. So he was traveling for his own work, and he actually got in contact with one person, and then it was ultimately two people who were, all I can say is I leaked this a long time ago, and I'm not going to leak it again because that's why I say I'm lucky that I'm still friends with them. But I will say that it was two people, one person in particular, was very close to this investigation. And in talking about this case, I guess, and it does surprise me that this person who's close to the case told my friend Alex this at all. And he told me, thinking I was going to handle it better than I did. And I'm sorry, Alex, if you're listening. That they said that they deleted every single 100% of the text messages from her phone, and they had 100% of the text messages from Chris Watt's phone. So we do know that, and I mean, I trust this person like immensely, and for him, the way he told me this, he trusted the information that was given to him. So I consider that we know that about law enforcement, that they got all their text messages. I think I would have believed that even if he didn't tell me. No, I would have believed that even if he didn't tell me that. I would have assumed it, but I wouldn't have known it because we know what law enforcement can do. But there's a little factoid for you, okay? So all the text messages were, in fact, recovered. That is true.
Does it mean they're guilty? No, of course not. But now I'm going to treat them a lot more skeptically. And if I were to interview her, I would be a lot more aggressive. I'd be doing a lot more bluffing than this officer is doing here.
That's what it would have been. That would have been the end of it.
The information was not destroyed because there was anything in there that would be harmful to you or potentially to Chris at this point, but harmful to you in particular. That's not why you did it.
No.
You did it out of...
Right. So once again, he's putting words into her mouth. All she said was it was not malicious. That's the only new word she's introduced into this conversation. Now he's supplying her with all the other proper responses to explain away, deleting everything, nuking all of her conversations with Chris. On top of that, we also have this small discrepancy of her saying, well, he lied to me, which A, caused me to delete everything, but B, also caused me to wonder if he killed his wife. I feel like the average person, if they suspected their boyfriend of killing their wife, as I said, would not delete all the evidence, especially if that evidence could exonerate them. If she knew this guy was lying to her, manipulating his wife, might have killed his wife, and she could prove she had nothing to do with it, with those text messages, that is a reason enough to keep them despite thinking that he's gross and disgusting. So the story does not add up, but as I will cover at the end of this video, there are different reasons for lying besides being guilty. So I haven't made up my mind about her yet, but just bear that in mind as I talk. Just because I'm anti her lying, and I do think she's lying, does not mean I think she had anything to do with the murder. Doesn't mean I think she's innocent either, right? Just bear that in mind. I'm only a few minutes into analyzing her talking. So we've caught some deception, but deception does not always equate to guilt.
Anything in there that would be harmful to you or potentially to Chris at this point, but harmful to you in particular. That's not why you did it.
No.
You did it out of, excuse my language, this guy's an asshole, so I'm getting rid of him, and I'm getting this stuff off my phone.
That was like me kicking him out of my life.
Okay.
And then, like I said, and then realizing that he lied, that was when I was like, okay, maybe his family is in danger and they're not coming back and they're not staying with a friend.
Right. So whenever she has a chance to talk for herself, it's a lot more revealing. Right. So we have the officer saying, well, you blocked him because hey, this guy's an asshole, right? He basically fed her an entire explanation. But when it was her turn to talk, she seems to be contradicting herself. Right? Once again, she says, well, he lied, so that made me realize his family might be in danger. She knew he had a wife and 2 kids. If she really thought they were in danger, would her first reaction be to delete all the messages? Maybe so, right? Maybe she's narcissistic. She doesn't care at all about helping the police find the little girls and find the wife. She's just looking out for herself and doesn't want to be embarrassed. So is cutting him off, deleting any conversation so that there's no way she could be embarrassed in the future.
Ara says here, I believe deception comes from feeling guilty, in my opinion. I think deception in her case comes from wanting to save her ass. I mean, it's just my opinion, but certainly, yes, it could come from guilt or shame, of what you had done. But I really think she was saving her butt here.
And that's why it's nice to take an approach with these sorts of people. Right? Okay, that's fine. You can delete it. You're welcome to delete all the evidence. You don't have to furnish anything to me. But just know that I will assume the worst now because you deleted it. So you're going to have to overcome that obstacle with me. So start thinking of ways that you can prove to me you weren't involved. Otherwise, I'm treating you as suspect number 1.
Amen. Right, Anaphylaxis? Amen to what he just said. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Right, and put them on the defensive. But that's not what is happening here.
Yeah, when did I go over there? Tuesday morning?
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday.
I called you Wednesday morning.
That's what we
Okay, so this is a big
Statement
one.
analysis. Miss Channel.
Whoops. Oh, God, I lost where we were. Jesus. Okay, here, let me get where, because I've been really watching her body language. Okay, here we go. All right. So, all right. Now, when her dad, I pointed this out recently, when her dad says, when did I go over there? Was it Tuesday morning? Now, the thing is with this, as I've explained before, I'm a little tired now, so I have to get my thoughts together on this. It is so critical to her lie to law enforcement that is really important to her as to why she deleted all of the text messages and other stuff from Chris Watts that they or the public or whoever believe on the official record believes, I'm going to say, that the reason that she deleted those messages was because she found out that Shanann Watts was pregnant not until the day after the murders on Tuesday morning. And it was because of the lies that she deleted the text messages and the hurt that she blah, blah, whatever she just said. And without that argument, she just looks guilty as hell because she just deleted those text messages for a reason other than the fact that the lies and the hurt, because she just found out that Shanann Watts was pregnant. So critical to her central everything is that law enforcement believes, or at least that they pretend to believe, that whole narrative. So when her dad says, what was it, that thing 9 a.m. that he told you about? Oh, wait. What part is it that he says here? Oh, no. Here is where he says, when did I come over there? Was it Tuesday morning? And she's like, Wednesday. It was Wednesday morning. I believe that it was definitely Tuesday morning when they started talking about this. But it's really critical to her that, the suspicion that she had about Chris Watts possibly being involved in this, or the concern about the family, didn't start until Tuesday. And then it kept increasing and increasing to a crescendo that finally happened where she contacted her dad on Wednesday morning. And that's when the day she finally contacted the authorities. And I think the catalyst for her calling the authorities was that Tony Husky already told them what was going on, and she got an indication of that from her employer. But even without all of that, for the authorities to think that she called her dad on Tuesday morning and was concerned about this, and that they were, kind of cooking this plan up since Tuesday morning, and she didn't come to them until like later in the day on Wednesday, is really bad for her. So her dad just let the cat out of the bag. So when he does that, look at her blocking, hiding, shaming, and trying to, escape what is being said body language here. She blocks, she ducks, it's crazy.
All right, so I'm going to rewind. So listen to her justify herself here.
I think we're going to get it. Wait.
he was lying to me. And I was like, well, if you can lie to me about this, what else are you lying to me about? And it made me realize that maybe his wife was in danger at that point, and it was dating with you. I was just like, I don't know.
Probably be more likely to use if they were cheating. To my
Did we hear this yet? Oh gosh. Where did he say that? Did we hear that part yet? I'm so sorry. Let me see.
a straight up bold-faced lie. It's a lot easier to say, yeah, I deleted everything that I had to do with them.
Lied to me before.
Okay.
And then another point, otherwise provide it to me. And then you'd be surprised how many people actually could actually hold that against her, whereas
I like deleted it. I had a few more quick things to say to him, and then I just got rid of him. That's literally what I did. I just cut him out of my life. It would have honestly been like a bad breakup kind of thing. Like if none of this other stuff would have happened, that's what.
all right, so here she says it.
Okay.
We can't discount quickly. And if I were,
Sorry,
but
guys.
B also caused me to wonder if he killed his wife. D. So I haven't made up my mind about her yet. But just bear that in mind as I talk. Just because I'm anti her lying, and I do think she's lying, but equate to guilt.
Anything in there that would be harmful to you or potentially to Chris at this point, but harmful to you in particular. That's not what you did.
No.
You did it out of, excuse my language, this guy's an asshole, so I'm getting rid of him, and I'm getting this stuff off my phone.
That was like me kicking him out of my life.
Okay.
And then, like I said, and then realizing that he lied, that was when I was like, okay, maybe his family is in danger and they're not coming back and they're not staying with a friend.
Right. So whenever she has a chance to talk for herself, it's a lot more revealing. Right. So we have the officer saying, well, you blocked him because, hey, this guy's an asshole. Right. He basically.
I know we already heard this, but I rewound too far. Sorry. So we're just hearing this little part again. It's all good. This is really good information, good analysis he's doing. It doesn't hurt to hear twice.
Fed her an entire explanation. But when it was her turn to talk, she seems to be contradicting herself. Right? Once again, she says, well, he lied, so that made me realize his family might be in danger. She knew he had a wife and 2 kids. If she really thought they were in danger, would her first reaction be to delete all the messages? Maybe so, right? Maybe she's narcissistic. She doesn't care at all about helping the police find the little girls and find the wife. She's just looking out for herself and doesn't want to be embarrassed. So is cutting him off, deleting any conversation so that there's no way she could be embarrassed in the future. And that's why it's nice to take an approach with these sorts of people. Right? Okay, that's fine. You can delete it. You're welcome to delete all the evidence. You don't have to furnish anything to me. But just know that I will assume the worst now because you deleted it. So you're going to have to overcome that obstacle with me. So start thinking of ways that you can prove to me you weren't involved. Otherwise, I'm treating you as suspect number 1. Right? And put them on the defensive. But that's not what is happening here.
Yeah, when did I go over there? Tuesday morning?
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday.
I called you Wednesday morning.
Look, I mean, how overt is that? I mean, this is the only time where she's really giving this kind of, vibe to her dad with her nonverbal cues here. When did I go over there? Tuesday, Wednesday morning. It was Wednesday morning, and her body language says, oh my God, Dad, I can't fucking believe what you just did. Look at that. Blocking, ducking, avoiding, diverting, everything.
That's when we started discussing, you guys need to get everything that you just.
And then a drink.
You can understand the importance of,
Oh, no question. We were.
like I said, people lie, phone records don't, and they really help specifically establish dates and times.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a very good grip on that in this case already, but there may be a time when we go, we need to know something else, and then we would have it. We don't want to lose it. And that's really what it is for us, is if we lose information that later on we go, man, I wish we would have got that. And we may never even use, we may never even look at them. But if we have it now, then we don't worry about losing it. So I appreciate you being cooperative and giving it to us.
Yeah.
So the first thing I wrote was text messages between Chris Watts and attachments. Okay, so because we're talking about the photographs, unfortunately, that cause you much disdain. And then I am going to put phone log for calls between yourself and Chris Watts. Your phone number is 720.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. I just want to address this comment really quickly here. And thank you for commenting. I appreciate it. So wait, who is this here? I got to blow it up because I can't say. Beach from 7 says, Dad should not have been there. Then again, Ronnie should not have been allowed in with Chris either, but it was a strategy. Okay, I didn't see that part of it. Yeah, that was a strategy. Exactly. Maybe they thought they could get more out of her. With him there, I don't know. I think with Ronnie, it was definitely a strategy. And at that point, they knew Chris was guilty. They were just waiting to put those handcuffs on him. I think that they were trying to get as much information out of him as they could, because remember, they were trying to recover the bodies of the victims at this point. And it's really critical that they do that as quickly as possible and they get everything moving so justice can move on. And also, so, the families, right? The families and the public, but more so the families, right? So maybe they thought they could get more out of her. I think it was clear. My perception is it was clear from the beginning that the dad was an authoritative figure, that the dad was one who was running the show, calling the shots, and that he was only going to stand as an obstacle to, to actually extracting the real truth if that's what they wanted. I think the fact that he is there says to us that the investigators never really intended to find the real truth from her. Never, right? Which is a damn sad thing. Shame on you, investigators.
Account. Or does she not consider Telegram social media? Maybe she doesn't consider those things social media, so she doesn't bring them up. So someone saying, I do not have social media, does not mean that they didn't have it back at the time when they were communicating with someone who killed his family. What are
So one other comment I'm sorry. When he talks, this guy talks so much slower than me. I never know. Sometimes I think he's done with his statement and he's going to go back to the video and then, press play again and he continues to talk. It's hard for me to tell with him because I just don't relate to that slow talking. So Autumn Renee, hi Autumn Renee, how are you? Says, the only did the one park interview with NK alone to my knowledge. Well, in fact, her dog and her dad were with her at that one, my friend. So there was a total of 3 interviews. I'm sorry. 5 interviews, 3 of them were in person and recorded. Now, I'm saying that I should say it like this. There's a total of 5 recorded interviews that we know about. Okay. 3 of them are in person. The first one in the park with the FBI, her dad and her dog were both there. Okay. This second one, obviously her dad is there. The third in-person interview where they're sitting at the room with a rectangular table and they're talking about her phone a lot and Tammy Lee, and then the witness, what is it? Some specialist to help her with her witness, or I'm sorry, yeah, her witness emotions, her victim emotions. I mean, the victim specialist comes in. Her dad obviously was not at that one. As far as I know, her dad was not present with her during her 2 phone interviews, but her dad was definitely there at the first interview with the FBI, which is also very interesting and a good point to bring up anyhow. Dude, it went back to the beginning again. What the frick is going on today?
those aren't all
Sorry.
direct quotes from
Ugh.
now they are not going to search beyond those parameters.
If we have it now, then we don't worry about losing it.
Otherwise, I'm treating you as suspect number 1.
Mm.
Right, and put them on the defensive, but that's not
Okay, we already went
And
through that.
attachments. Okay, so because we're talking.
Now they are not going to search beyond those parameters. She has not consented to that. So if she had used any other apps and deleted them
Okay, we already know that.
different
Right.
way, because right, let's keep listening.
656 9605.
And this right now.
This is a side note. One of my recent uploaded recorded interviews with Nicole Kessinger was one from August 17th that had the entire interview on it. The part that was audio recorded. And oh, by the way, both of the phone interviews were redacted at some point, but I recently put up 2 of the interviews, the one from the 17th, where I included the redacted portion by me reading the transcript that I was able to procure of that interview, was taken down under harassment and privacy terms for revealing doxing information. Basically, I've never had that happen before. So what does that tell me? Other than a shitload of people complained about it, which I don't think is the case, or a couple people in particular complained about it and had it taken down. So what do you guys think about that? I've never had that happen before.
Now is located we're at the Thornton Police Department. It's going to be moved to so this is kind of, doesn't make sense, but we're here. It's going to be moved to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. He's going to download it here, but I'm going to take it with me. Just so you know, it's not staying here.
Okay.
They're not going to retain any of this. This comes with me.
Okay.
Okay?
Is there anything else you want on there? I think that's about,
That's it. I mean, I don't have social media. I don't really have anything else you guys can pull.
Okay.
Is there anything else you know of that could help us?
So this is an interesting statement here. He said, "Is that it?" And she says, "I don't have social media. I don't have anything else you can pull." Could she pass a polygraph? Yes. Like I said, 99% of the time, people will not boldface lie to you. They will not lie by commission. They will tell you the truth, but they will omit critical details. So for example, when she says, "I do not have social media," I believe her. But did she have social media 2 days ago? Did she have a Facebook account 2 days ago before she deleted everything with Chris? Did she have a LinkedIn account or a Telegram account? Or does she not consider Telegram social media? Maybe she doesn't consider those things social media, so she doesn't bring them up. So someone saying, "I do not have social media," does not mean that they didn't have it back at the time when they were communicating with someone who killed his family. I've only watched a little bit past here, so I'm curious if the officer will pick up on that. But if I were sitting there, or if you've binged all my videos, if you're a member of my channel or a subscriber, that shouldn't work on you. You should follow up and say, "Okay, I understand you don't have them now. Did you have any social media accounts 2 weeks ago?" No? And if she says no, okay. Did you have any other communication apps? Have you deleted any apps in the last 2 days? That would be an interesting question. And then you could also bluff. Have you deleted any apps in the last 2 days? Because we can always search for that on the phone and see what apps you deleted within the last 3 days. And let her start trying to prove her innocence. So the tack the police are taking here seems a little bit too casual for me. And it also does Nicole a disservice. Because if she actually is innocent and is telling the truth here, none of her claims have been verified sufficiently. Right? So she has not proven her innocence, but then again, the police haven't really investigated her properly. I would like them to ask her, "Have you deleted any apps in the past 3 days?" The other notable thing here is she brought up social media on her own, so clearly it was on her mind, which makes me think that she might have been communicating with him on social media 2 days earlier. But then she deleted that when she deleted all of her conversations with him. So just notice the tricks that liars use. They can speak in very specific ways to keep you focused on what they're trying to direct you to. Right? Okay, she said she doesn't have any social media. That's not the same as saying she didn't have social media 2 days ago. Or they can be very broad and vague. Right? Okay, she said she deleted everything she had with Chris when I asked her if she deleted the text messages. But that overbroadness could also encompass any other apps they use to communicate. Right? So if the officer did press her on if she had any other apps, it wouldn't be a contradiction with what she said earlier. She could say, "Yes, I told you I deleted everything I had with them. So yes, I did delete my Signal account that I had 2 days ago. But as I already told you, I deleted everything I had with them." Right? Liars can be very tricky. You have to really listen closely.
With this, that is not on this sheet,
As far as like data,
that's on your phone.
no. I mean, everything we did was like text and talk, pretty much. I mean,
There we go again. Pretty much. Pretty much is not the same as saying everything we did was talk and text. Everything we did was talk and text pretty much means that that's not all you did. Maybe there was another way they communicated.
I mean, and like I said, any pictures that I had, like even if you were to restore all my regular photos, there's so many pictures in there you wouldn't even know which ones were for him and which ones weren't. But any picture that I wanted to send to him, I sent via text. So if you guys go through the text and the attachments, you will have everything that wasn't said verbally and was done via text. But I think that's it. Like I don't have anything else. As far as like no Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter, no LinkedIn, like none of it. So
Right? None of it. Now, though, present tense. She didn't say I've never had any of those. That would be a totally different statement. Like I said, I haven't watched this far, so maybe the officer will ask her that.
So there was never any of that kind of correspondence. So I think that should probably cover everything you guys will need.
Is there any particular messages that would help me so I don't have to look at? Because whatever's on your phone, I don't know how long we're going to get back to, but let's say is there a particular date or time or message that stands out to you that would be relative to specifically to the investigation into this case that might assist me in understanding why something like this could have occurred?
I'm still in shock that this whole thing happened.
I
Like
can imagine.
that's why I gave him the benefit of the doubt.
So notice the officer asked her a question and her response is, I'm still in shock. That's a non-responsive answer. Stuff like that should not be allowed to slide. Right, on the witness stand, if she were being cross-examined, believe me, an attorney would not let that slide. Right, Your Honor, objection, non-responsive. Ma'am, please answer yes or no.
Out for the first day because I was just like, no way. Like I didn't even think about that. I mean, murder was not on the top of my mind when somebody doesn't come home for an evening, especially.
So now she's finally allowed to talk more, right? The officer's been plugging in all the words so far. Here she says, murder was not even at the top of my mind. What does that mean? That murder was on the list of possibilities. Right? She didn't say murder never occurred to me. It was on her list. It just wasn't at the top of her list. So what did she and Chris talk about? Did she know about his murderous propensity? Or did she know how much he really hated his wife? Or did he ever confide into her the things he was willing to do to be with her? Because murdering his wife was on her list. It just wasn't at the top. Now, does this mean she helped him plan it? Does it mean she asked him to kill his wife? No. And I think that this is one of the reasons why whenever I do my community polls, if you're a member, if you're a subscriber to my channel, I do these community polls periodically where I take all the things, all the topics that have been requested in my comments frequently that I haven't covered, and I put them into a poll to see what you guys want me to cover next. So the one I did 3 days ago, obviously Nicole Kessinger won by a mile, which is the reason I'm covering her right now and the reason I'm making this video, because I only want to make videos that my audience wants to watch.
So let me ask you, let's see, John Carlos, why? This is pretty weak interpretation. Seems like you're just making things up left and right in your brain. Are you speaking to myself or about the deception detective whose video I am playing here? Because I have been analyzing nonverbal communications and he's doing statement analysis, and we're both professionals and trained in the things that we are discussing here. So I'd like to know, do you have an interpretation that you would like to put forth?
But I do notice something whenever I do my community polls, that the people who rise to the top are either missing children, or in the case of Nicole Kessinger or Amanda Knox, it's unlikable people, or Nicola Bully, where it seems to be a conspiracy. And I think the reason for that is when it comes to unlikable people, in particular unlikable women, two camps form on YouTube, right? So Nicole Kessinger is not a likable woman. Amanda Knox was not a likable woman. The McCanns aren't particularly likable. Jada Pinkett Smith is not particularly likable. And whenever I do polls that include people like that, they go to the top. And I think it's because when someone's unlikable, people get very polarized. commentators, right? Even the people actually involved in the cases, like the prosecutors or defense attorneys, right? That doesn't, it's not limited to YouTube. So what happens is with unlikable women like Nicole Kessinger, Amanda Knox, et cetera, is you get one side saying that, hey, they're unlikable, so they must be guilty, right? I can't stand her. I can't stand the way she talks, the way she acts, how she's not even crying over these dead girls. She must be guilty. She knew something, right? She was sleeping with a married man. She's a bad woman. She had to have killed him. So you get that side. And then you get the other side, which says, hey, she's unlikable, but we're not sure if she's guilty. So we're just going to err on the side of caution and say that she's probably innocent and read everything that way, interpret it that way. Because we're not sure if she's guilty or not, we're just going to err on the side of caution, which is probably the more reasonable approach. And I think that's what happened with the McCanns as well, right? People weren't sure if they were guilty. So they erred on the side of caution. Hey, I don't want to pack more grief onto these parents who lost their daughter. I'm not sure if they're guilty, even though they are unlikable and kind of, their statements are kind of bizarre for parents of a missing child, but it's safer to err on the side of caution. And then you get people like me, where I don't really have a dog in this fight. I'm not analyzing whether or not Nicole Kessinger is a nice person. Frankly, I don't particularly care, right? Just like Amanda Knox, I don't care if she's likable or not. I'm just listening to her statements. But if I am convinced that she is hiding something and that she's a liar, I'm not afraid to be strict with her and to point it out. So I'm not afraid about erring on the side of caution. I'd rather point out that someone's a liar because I see deception in their words than accuse them of something just because they're unlikable, or err on the side of caution just because I'm not 100% sure if they're guilty. And Nicole Kessinger reminds me a lot of Amanda Knox. I don't see the signs of someone who killed a guy's family. I don't think she was involved in the murder, because she hasn't leaked anything along those lines. She's not acting like she knows anything. She's being as candid as she can until it comes to her communications with Chris. That's why this cell phone part, I believe, if you look at the stats on this video.
Well, I guess I would ask the deception detective this. So this is a part that I think some people are talking about. They were saying, oh, I don't like anything she's not, involved, because he did just say that. I think with the deceptive detective, the part of what he just said that I think is missing here is she's not deceptive until it comes to her communication with Chris. Well, then the next question is, why is she deceptive and so defensive when it comes to her communication with Chris? Let's go down to the next logical level. There has to be a reason. And I don't think it's because she doesn't like for people to see her nude pictures. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that.
Which has 253,000 views. There's a couple spikes. And one of them is right here when it comes to the cell phone. And the reason she might be cagey about the cell phone data and how they communicated, why I think she's lying about it, could be one of a number of reasons. So I'm going to go through those right now. So this is the final card in the deception deck that we will look at today. And it is assessing motivations. So it is in the hearts, the concept suit of the deception deck. And I'll just read you what I have on the card. So first of all, I have a quote from Albert Einstein: imagination is more important than knowledge. And here's the rule. Here's the concept. When analyzing statements, it's important to consider why the individual might be lying, as there are numerous motivations beyond guilt. To discern a subject's reasons for deception, put yourself in their shoes and consider protection. Could they be safeguarding something such as an investment, a relative, or even their pride? 2, avoidance. Are they attempting to evade negative outcomes like shame, jail, or retaliation? 3, gain. Might they be seeking benefits, including attention, financial gain, or closure? And then other. Could they be influenced by other factors such as activism, psychological issues, or a simple mistake? This framework helps in understanding the diverse motivations that can drive an individual to lie. So we need to continue analyzing Nicole Kessinger's interview with the police to figure out what exactly she is trying to hide. And there's a lot more to this interview, and there's a lot more spikes if you look at the analytics on this video. So if you guys want me to do a part 2 of this, I think some of those spikes include her talking about her opinions on Chris's family, which I think will be very revealing. Other things she might be hiding, as well as the day that Chris killed his family, what she was doing. And I think analyzing those things will get us closer to understanding if she's actually hiding guilty knowledge, or actual involvement or assistance in helping Chris plan something. But right now, we can't discount any of these other reasons for lying. She could just be cagey about the phone data because it's embarrassing, or because she's ashamed that she was cheating with a married man, or even that she's ashamed that she was duped, right? That he tricked her and she's embarrassed about it.
I don't know. I personally think that her shame threshold is much lower than that. Just my personal opinion.
So we're not going to give her the full benefit of the doubt because she deleted the data and we noticed deception here. So we're still going to go hard at her. But we also need to be careful about saying, hey, she's lying because she's guilty, because that's not a conclusion we can make at this point. Right? We've only analyzed like 10 minutes of this interview with her. I know very little about her, as I said. I know more about the Chris Watts case because there was that Netflix documentary a while back. All right, so let me know your thoughts about Nicole Kessinger in the comments. Also, let me know which part you want me to analyze next in this. I think.
Okay, so there we go. So that was a detective. Let me know what you guys think about that. And also, thank you so much, very much. You just pin again. Angie Erickson for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your support and thank you for being here. And just thank you. I've seen your comments on videos many times before, and I'm really glad that you were able to make the live stream tonight. And thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. Let's see. Karen G says, I don't agree with this here. It doesn't matter that she's unlikable because evidence and statements don't add up when it comes to her. Yeah, it doesn't matter if she's likable or unlikable. That is very true. And, I have to intentionally put that out of my mind when I'm considering, the content I'm going to make about her or what I'm going to say about her, because to me, she definitely is very unlikable. But there are plenty of people out there that are unlikable that I don't, have any suspicion of when it comes to true crimes, who are related to true crime stories. But exactly, I was thinking the exact same thing you're saying here, Karen, when he said that. Yeah, doesn't matter if she's likable or not, but all the other things that we know from the discovery and from all the things that we know about this case, definitely say something. Let's see. Yeah, and again, Ara says again, he doesn't have the background for this analysis, so take it with a grain of salt. So I think his analysis about the statements was spot on. Where he says he doesn't think she was involved. You know that I personally have another different opinion, but he doesn't know all of those details that some people do know about. So yeah, and Ara says I don't think she feels duped. She knew exactly what was going on. Thank you. I was trying to think about what I wanted to say about that because the fact that, oh, maybe she's doing this because she thinks she's duped, like that doesn't sit well with me. But yes, exactly what Ara is saying. And lower high threshold. I think her threshold for shame is different. Let's say that, Jesse. Aw. Pookie really thought Mike was right. And hi, Mike Applegate. I've seen you during the last few live streams, and whenever I go to pin one of your comments, sometimes what they say is like a little maybe YouTube adverse. So sometimes I can't pin them. But hi, how are you? I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Just because someone confesses to murder doesn't make it true. Just saying, well, that is the truth. That's why law enforcement still usually does their due diligence in the investigation to make sure that what a person says when they do confess is in fact true. Because be, just because a person says the words doesn't make it so, even when the consequences or the outcome for what they are saying are negative for them. Again, like he said, there's a lot of motivations and reasons behind people do what they do and say what they say. Artemis Prime says, and I don't know, it seems like there's like some unhappiness going on in chat, and I'm so sorry. I'm not able to really address it because I wasn't able to fully follow. But everyone, just please be respectful, and I appreciate all of you. And just, I'm sorry that there's some weirdness going on there. Artemis Prime says, off topic, a lot of chat seems off these days. People want answers and are deeply invested. That's right. And they're very passionate about this. And, you know, as I've said many times before, I think they should be. I think it would be a really sad state of affairs if people weren't passionate about this because, I mean, my God, look at the tragedy that happened, you know? Sometimes you do come off douchey muck boys, but it's okay. We love you anyway. Lily Rose says, it's hard to imagine what kind of person would be okay being in a married man's home, especially when they know it's because the wife and little baby girls are, you know, visiting their family across the country for 6 weeks. You know, even if you don't feel bad about work romance, being in the wife's home would make it real. I can't imagine. Yeah. And I think it did make it real, which is exactly why I think that she acted the way that she did after that, including telling Chris Watts that she wants to give him his first son. Oh, hey, thank you, Ara. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, all moderators. Thank you. Yeah, I think the second video he does is even better. I agree with that. Sarcasm for fun. I do. Green Eye Bandit says, my father used to say you can't ride two horses with one ass. That's freaking awesome. I love your father. Oh, Kim Harford has been on Watts Island for years. Come over to this portion of the island anytime you want, Kim. We're all stuck here, huh? Let's see. Yes, please do hit the like. I would really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Yes, they are great mods. They're wonderful. I appreciate them so much. They're amazing. What happened to the video of feed that baby? I think that went my video where I said feed that baby, or like you know, grab that baby. That one's still up. Hold that baby. Please, Kelly, personally, I think you need to go back and watch SW all of her videos because you spent years posting about her behavior as a mom. I did. Yeah. I mean, that's like one of my like main areas of interest. And it's not, and it is, I understand that part of the discussion in chat that went wrong here is about that. And it's not that I do not like Shanann Watts or I don't respect Shanann Watts or I don't feel terrible about what happened to her and think that there is absolutely no way there's just no way on heaven, earth, and hell that this should have happened to her. She deserves to be living her life right now. And as you know, this is something Ara and I have talked about many times, that I truly do believe if she was allowed to live out her God-given life, like all of us, people within the normal range of psychology and behavior, she would have grown all the wiser and learned lessons from her experience. She was relatively very young when this tragedy happened to her. And I do understand that. Nevertheless, what we do see in her videos makes me feel a certain way about the children and what the children experienced in their life. And as I've said before, you know, much of my life and professional career has been dedicated to supporting children, students, young adults that have needs due to trauma in their past, in their lives. And I see that in Celeste and Bella, and it is only natural for me to to speak for them. And that is what I have done in those videos. And that's really all there is to it. I mean, yes, it is, of course, about Shanann, because I am talking about what we are able to see due to her videos that she posted for all the public to see and her interactions with her children. So that's speaking about her as a mother, but I'm not speaking about her as a person or a human being. I do not think she was a bad person. Do not think by any means she deserved her horrific fate. And I wish she would have been allowed to live so she could have learned the lessons that life delivers all of us the way the rest of us are, doing our lives right now. So that's all there is to that. I've heard this from a few people that they say Rourke's wife's attacker looks very similar to Chris Watts. I have to check that out. Yeah, I know those videos, right? Yes, please do hit the like button, subscribe. We'd love for you to come back if you're not a subscriber yet. Members, again, I'm going to be doing members only live stream in the next couple of days. You're just going to have to look for it. I'm sorry, I can't plan it ahead of time. And yeah. You were on one chat with Shanae when you bought Thrive. Oh, that's really interesting, Pokey. Do you still use Thrive? Chilling with Wilson over here, like that Tom Hanks movie. I can't remember what it was called. All right. Great statement, Sarah. Kids teach you as much as you teach them, and in my opinion, even more. Amen. I believe that too. Kids are so precious. Good. Thank you, Alex, for subscribing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I know. He said how long and beautiful Cece and Bella's hair was. I know. I know. He was just truly clueless. Truly clueless. Am I doing the second video with this guy? Not tonight, because I'm pretty tired. That's why this started so late. I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but I'm so sorry that I fell asleep because I'm just feeling a little exhausted and under the weather. And so I think I'm just going to end it here, but I will definitely do it soon for sure. Yeah. I think it's great. So it looks like Ara is asking if you want to do an after party. So sometimes Ara does an after party on her channel. So go ahead and post your channel for sure, Ara. Yeah, Green Eye Bandit, good night. Serena Williams says, hi, Serena. I always love it when I see your comments. They're always so smart. The girls had a horrific fate and they were separate entities from Shanann. They weren't extensions of her. They have their own truth. Oh, so well said, Serena. That's why I love your comments all the time. Thank you for saying that. That's perfectly, perfectly said. Oh, and hey, thank you so much, Sarcasm for Fun, for the super sticker. I appreciate you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here and all the. I love your name, Sarcasm for Fun, because my experience of you here is you do add some like lightness to the chat and the discussion. I appreciate that. Thank you, Anaphylaxis. Thank you. That's right. It's the movie Castaway. That's right. Yep. Okay, so it's House Huddle. I love House Huddle. She was here in chat one time recently and came up on panel. She was great. I think she's awesome. And so it says House Huddle channels, her newest CW video shows side by sides of CW and DA Rourke. Very interesting. I will definitely have to check that out. Thank you, Muck Boys. Thank you all of you. Ara says, Kelly, over time, I appreciate how strong you are despite all the controversy. Well, thank you, Ara. I very much appreciate that too. Don't always feel strong, but thank you. Hey, we do have the real Serena Williams here. What are you talking about? She's Serena Williams. Whether she plays tennis or not, I don't know, but she's real. Thank you, Ara. Thank you. Bonnie Riggs says, would you ever do a show with ATS and discuss the explosion theory? From when I love ATS. I don't necessarily watch all of her videos. I watch some of her videos for sure. I don't always watch all of her Watts videos. I watch her documentary. It's awesome. I don't necessarily watch all of her Chris Watts videos because, you know, I've been so submerged in Chris Watts. I don't watch a lot of videos on it anymore, but I think she believes the explosion theory is a thing, right? But yeah, I mean, I would love to. Yeah, I mean, I can get in contact with her and see if she wants to do it. Or, hey, ATS, do you want to do a live together? Yeah, I would definitely do that. That would be great. I don't totally buy into that. It was actually Ara as well who kind of, for the first time, even opened my mind up to it being a possibility. And I do hold that it is a possibility, but I'm certainly not sold on it. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Louise Larson says, good morning from Sweden, 6:20 here. I'm a bit late. Love your channel, Kelly. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Karen G says, I would love an ATS and Watts the Obsession collab. Well, let her know. And hopefully we can do that. I would be happy to do that with ATS. She's great. All right, guys. So I'm going to end this here. Gosh, it's already been an hour and 50 minutes, but I will be doing, as I said, a members only sometime this weekend. It'll either be tomorrow night or Sunday night. So I will decide that tomorrow morning when I see how I feel, because I don't know if I have like a cold or something. I just don't know. But I'll decide that tomorrow night, and then I will post it so you guys will know. And I have another Idaho video coming out soon. I'm always working on Watt stuff. Not sure what the next thing is going to be, but there's always something in the works. There's several in production right now. So who knows what the next one is going to be. It just kind of depends on, you know, how things shape up, and, you know, it's just a number of things and what gets done the quickest. Sometimes, you know, doing this channel is definitely hard work. So I just kind of go with whatever it is I'm like feeling most interested in at the moment, and that's the order videos come out in. So sometimes it's just like that. So yeah. Oh, you too. Have a good night, Serena. All right. Did she seem like the type that wouldn't fight back? Shanann? Definitely not, if that's who you're talking about. I don't think so. I think she absolutely would have fought back. Absolutely. So Ara, post a link to your channel. I think people are asking for the link. And yeah. All right. So everybody, I am going to end this now. So somebody just reminded me in chat. Yes, Kathleen, thank you. Please remember to lock your windows and doors, because I want you to be safe for sure. Be safe. It can be a rough world out there. And because it is a hard world out there, please be nice to one another. We don't need to cause each other issues. We really should be there for each other, because when it comes down to it, we are all more the same than different. And please, please, please be nice to yourself, because I know that you deserve it. So be nice to yourself, please. Just do it. Please do it. So I will see you guys definitely soon. And y'all have a really good night. And if Ara is doing an after party, she should post the link in the chat so you guys can know that it's happening for Shoresies. Are you going to be doing that, Ara? I'm waiting. And well, okay, I'll see you soon.
It just seemed like he had so much going on, and it was just beautiful that I was like, why don't you just try this out, you know? Into it, and I did not like it, did not want to go back.
Recall where the house was.
Yeah, it's like right off the highway in Frederick.
Okay. You know the streets.
I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out again if I like really had to. Like off the top of my head, no.
Do you know the street name?
No. I would have to like drive around in there to get there.
Okay.